Hi, and welcome to this first of 5 videos that are the Digital Boundaries Workshop. This workshop was designed to be in a living room, and it was designed to be just around friends, people hanging out, eating snacks while I educate them on the best way to protect their family. So let's do that. If you don't have a snack right now, pause the video, go get some Cheetos or some Doritos, or if you're like my wife and me, some baby carrots or something healthy. And you can snack on that, munch on that, but make sure you got a piece of paper so that you can take notes and write down any questions you may have. At the end of each section of each video, I'm going to have basically an opportunity for you to send me some questions about what I talked about. And I would love to answer those questions over email. This first video is kind of the introduction to the series, the introduction to this Digital Boundaries Workshop. And what I'm going to try to do in this video is I'm going to help you better understand the need for protecting your children online. Let me start by explaining where it all came from and why I'm doing this. I started off as a youth pastor. I worked in churches volunteering, and then in ministry as a full-time paid staff member for almost 15 years at this point. And in doing that, I saw the need for parents to be the first influence in their kids' lives. And so almost 4 years ago, as this video is being filmed, we started a ministry called BecauseFamily. BecauseFamily exists to inspire and equip parents to be the first influence in the lives of their children. And so as we went across the country, teaching parents all over the country about how to be the first influence in their kids' lives, we realized how important taking charge of what goes on in the technological devices, their technology, is in being the first influence. And so that led us to write a book. And the book that we've written is called What's in Your Pocket? A Parent's Guide to Protecting Your Children Online. We wrote that book while we were traveling the country in a motorhome. We had sold our house and traveled the United States. We literally went coast to coast over about 13 months, traveling the whole country and speaking in churches and in small group meetings and things like that, and meeting with people one-on-one, talking to families and parents. And as we did that, we used some of the need that we saw through these churches to inspire us to write our book. This workshop is an extension of that book. So that book is a good foundation for what we're going to talk about here in these videos. The first video, like I said, this one, I want to unpack some of the dangers that are available to you. As I do these workshops, I have slides on the television. So you're going to see the slide come up so you can see some of the statistics and some of the things that I'm discussing as I'm talking. So you'll see that come back and forth as I'm talking. Please, if you want to pause and take a screenshot or something of any of those slides so that you can remember them or see them, please do so. I recommend you do anything you can to help you remember the information that I'm going to be sharing. So let's dive right in and we'll talk a little bit. First, I want to show you this picture of my family. It's my wife, Melinda. Jason's the oldest, sitting there with his arm across his leg. Olivia is behind us with her hair up, missing a tooth there. That's Olivia, our second oldest. Brenna is the dark-haired, braided-haired little girl. And Alton is our little boy. He is 2.5 at this point while I'm filming this, and he thinks he's the boss, and he's too cute to tell him otherwise, so we just kind of roll with it. But I want to talk about, transition from that, to talking about some of the dangers that are available online. Why do we need to pay attention to what our kids are doing on the internet? The first and most obvious reason that everyone thinks of is adult content. It's pornography. It's sexual videos or photos that kids come across, nudity, things like that. That's what I heard about not too long ago from a mother who told me her son, who is a 4th grader, was riding a school bus, and a 2nd grader came up to him and said, "Hey man, when you get home, you should Google sex or look it up on YouTube." And so he came home, and his mom found out that he had done that, and they had to have serious conversations that you shouldn't have to have with your 4th grade son, but they didn't have anything set up on their devices at home, and so he got that information from somebody on the school bus who is 2 years younger than him, sat down at home, did what they said, and now he's seen something he can't unsee. Adult content is so readily available on the internet that only 1 in 3 kids who sees adult content online was looking for it. That means 2/3 of everybody, all these kids who see it for the first time, it found them. it ended up on their screen. I heard another story of boys young enough to be in elementary school playing on the playground, and one boy runs up to him with his little iTouch and says, "Look what I found on the internet." And it was a nude picture of a young lady. These are things that these kids aren't asking to see. They're not seeking it out. They're not looking for it. So when we say, well, my kid's good, they're a good kid, they don't look for that kind of stuff online. They don't even know what that is. That's true, and that's all right. But we don't live in a world anymore where you have to seek it out. It finds them now, and that's what's so dangerous. 27% of children have been exposed to unwanted sexual material online. So accessing adult content is obviously the first thing you think about, and it's one of the major reasons we need to pay attention. Secondly is cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is a real problem. Over half of teenagers have been bullied online, and the other half have engaged in cyberbullying. So we've got half, it seems like on the statistics that half of our teens are bullying kids, and half of them are being bullied. The statistics say that bullied kids are twice as likely to commit suicide as non-bullied kids, and that if they're cyberbullied, 1 in 5 teens thinks about suicide, and 1 in 10 teens actually attempts to commit suicide if they've been cyberbullied. So this cyberbullying thing is a major issue, and suicide is now the third leading cause of death among teenagers. So you've got adult content, you've got cyberbullying, and sexting. 20% of teenagers have engaged in sexting of some kind. That's sending a nude pic of themselves to someone, or sending a nude pic of someone else to someone. 30% of teenagers have at least one friend who has sent nude pics. 61% who've sent them admit they were pressured to do so at least once, that somebody got it started by pressuring them. Often your daughter, a young girl, is asked by her boyfriend to send something inappropriate. 25% of teen girls have had nude photos sent to them accidentally. I've heard stories of young people sending nude photos and it accidentally going to a public post instead of going private, and everybody in the school saw it and it humiliated them. These are other things that lead to cyberbullying and can lead to suicide. 17% of people who are sexting, they share their message with somebody else. And so this means they're sent a message in confidence and they think privacy, but then they share it with people who weren't involved in that conversation. Another major issue nowadays is predators online. See, online predators, they use social networks to get information about their victims. Some statistics say that 82% of these predators have used likes and dislikes on social media to learn about their victims, and 65% of them use their online postings about their home or their school to track them down, to find who they are. You even have to be careful with putting your location, because they'll track and learn the patterns of how you go places and where you go and where you spend time, so that they can follow your kids if they have an inkling to do so. So online predators is another reason we have to be careful with what our kids are doing online. You see, our children are living in a world where they're surrounded by this online influence. Literally, their friends, many of their friends, are carrying this stuff around in their pockets. They're walking around with full access to the internet in their pockets, and full access to strangers in their pocket. And if we wouldn't let them go into a public place and share where they live or share all these things, we have to be careful that they're not doing that online, because online is a public domain. The plan that we've put together is called SAFE. And SAFE stands for Setup, Accountability, Filtering, and Education. And so those are the 4 main things that we're going to cover in these next 4 videos. We're going to talk about setting up the devices that your kids have. We're going to talk about accountability, software that handles accountability, and how to be accountable and hold your kids accountable. We're going to talk about filtering. What's a filter? How does a filter work, and how do you use them? And then we're going to talk about education. And we're going to talk about communication with our kids and educating them and letting them educate us. As you continue on to the next video, think about what you have heard in this video. Think about all the reasons that what we're going to discuss are so very, very critical and important to protect your family. There's a reason these videos are offered to you free. It's because this information is too important. And so I want you to pay close attention as you continue to watch. And I thank you for starting with this one, for checking it out. And we'll see you next time on the next video, where we talk about setup.